Hello, my name is Alex Jacob, and I'm the Membership and Outreach Manager at the Vermont Specialty Food Association. Thank you for joining us today for Selling on Amazon, our second session of our three-part Webinar Wednesday e-commerce series. Today, Tom Funk, Senior Consultant at LeanEdge Marketing, will be leading this session. These sessions are designed for companies looking to expand, leverage, and grow their current e-commerce business. To let you know, this webinar is being recorded, and we will email the recorded webinar to all registrants tomorrow. We're also going to pop in our survey at the end of this session. So if you could please fill that out to review and share feedback on today's session, we really appreciate your input. All attendees are currently muted. Please stay muted for the duration of the presentation. For questions, we ask that you pop them into the chat or unmute yourself to ask your question verbally at designated question times. Tom will be presenting in 6 sections, so he'll stop after each section and we'll answer questions then. For those who don't know, VSFA is a nonprofit organization made up of small to large Vermont-based food and beverage businesses. We help grow specialty food businesses in the Vermont industry through education, promotion, and statewide and national collaboration. We are holding our virtual spring meeting on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2 weeks from now. This 2-hour event will feature 2 presentations focused on business resiliency, strategy, and adaptation for Vermont specialty food and beverage producers and supporting industries who are making their way through the current crisis. To learn more and register, please go to that link that's up on your screen. We have 2 really dynamic speakers for this event, and we hope you'll join us. It's open to members and non-members. I would also like to thank the Vermont Agency of Agriculture for partnering with us on this series. Lauren is here with the agency and is available for questions anytime. And with that, I will hand it off to Tom to begin the presentation.
Great, thank you, Alex, and thank you, Lauren, and thank you everybody for joining. As Alex said, I've been doing e-commerce for many years. I'm currently a senior consultant at LeanEdge Marketing, which is a Vermont-based consultancy that specializes in selling on Amazon. But prior to that, I've had many years working at local e-commerce brands like Vermont Teddy Bear Company, Pajamagram, Green Mountain Coffee, and Keurig, and most recently at Gardner Supply Company. So I've pretty much oriented the conversation to folks who are selling online in some fashion now and perhaps aren't yet selling on Amazon, or if you are selling on Amazon, my assumption is that you want to grow that program and you're probably facing some challenges. So this, as Alex mentioned, is the second of 3 Wednesday webinars that are sponsored by the Vermont Department of Agriculture and the Specialty Foods Association. So Bud Reed presented one on e-commerce strategy generally, including your website, and that's available. I believe it's recorded and is on the Department of Agriculture's website. Today is selling on Amazon, and next Wednesday, Katie White is going to talk about digital communication with your consumers, marketing in the form of email, social media, and other digital communications. So definitely tune in for that. Today, we're going to focus first on the high-level Amazon business case. Why would you be selling on Amazon? What are some of the appealing aspects of it, and maybe what are some of the detractions? Then I want to jump into COVID-19 specific issues and concerns that make Amazon both an extra attractive opportunity right now because of some disruptions, but also introduces some new challenges. Then we'll focus on specific selling tactics for Amazon and jump into how we might develop products for Amazon or optimize the products that we have. Talk a little bit about operations because it's a highly operations intensive selling proposition on Amazon, and then talk about advertising and promotion. And we will be taking breaks between each of those 6 sections to let you ask questions, and Alex will moderate those. So Amazon, as we all know, is the behemoth in e-commerce, and that continues to be more pronounced. So a few years ago, if I'd been giving this presentation, I would have said, well, most people start their shopping experience on Google, and they do one of 2 things. They either search on Google and they go to your website, or they search on Google and they end up on Amazon to buy something. In just a couple years ago, that changed to the point that searching on Amazon became the number one journey for folks who are trying to buy something online. And now it's gone from 50-50 to pretty much 2/3 of folks start their search on Amazon when they're in the market for buying products. 89% of the survey respondents said that they were more likely to buy from Amazon than any other site on the internet. 48% of Amazon's 150 million Prime members buy online every single week. So it's really a lifestyle choice for many of these folks, especially now during COVID-19 disruptions. So why would you, as a business person in Vermont or anywhere, want to sell on Amazon? Biggest reason is growth. It's the single biggest e-commerce platform in the United States, and second in the world only to Alibaba in China. And 140 billion, it's growing at a pace of 20% a year, which is remarkable for something that's that big. And the third-party marketplace that we'll talk about today is the lion's share of that retail growth. Market share is important here because even if you've got a thriving e-commerce business, chances are the activity in your market category on Amazon will be of customers that you have never met before. In my experience with local businesses, about 75 to 85% of our Amazon buyers were brand new to our file. So if you're not getting the sale on Amazon, some rival, some competitor is getting that sale. And finally, profit. There are a lot of fees, commissions that you'll hear about on Amazon, but in my experience, they're fairly analogous to the cost of acquiring a new customer in digital marketing generally. And if you're strategic about it, Amazon can be a very profitable channel for businesses large and small. Why might you not want to sell on Amazon? Maybe because this guy scares the pants off you. The world's richest man, Jeff Bezos, has built a platform that is a walled garden. And the biggest thing for marketers when they consider Amazon is that you don't have permission to market to the people who buy from you on Amazon. You can't send them out an email saying, hey, we saw that you bought X from us, buy Y from us directly. So you've agreed not to do that in your terms and conditions, and you can get thrown off and have your seller privileges removed if you violate it. Furthermore, if you're selling on Amazon through their most popular fulfillment channel, Fulfillment by Amazon, you often don't even know that customer. You don't know their address. So all of the power is in Amazon's hands unilaterally. They can make changes to their policies that could hurt your business, and they can also remove your selling privileges if you violate terms and conditions. There are a lot of costs of commissions and fees. There are some counterfeiting activities and other kind of shady practices of other sellers and people operating out of their garage that can be a nuisance to your business and need monitoring. You lose some control over the selling experience, although we'll see that Amazon is doing things to make it more attractive for brands to communicate their brand on Amazon. And finally, the question, are you cannibalizing your core business? My experience is with 75 to 85% of your customers on Amazon being brand new to your file, the cannibalization is not large. 15, 25%, but it's worth thinking about. If you have a limited inventory of products to sell and you know you're going to run out, you should sell them in your highest margin channel, and that may not be Amazon. But I'm very bullish on Amazon as a platform. I think it deserves a place in anybody's digital marketing plan right now. Those of you who aren't already selling on Amazon probably hear a couple terms talked about, 1P and 3P approaches to selling on Amazon. 1P, or first party, is a traditional wholesale relationship with Amazon. Amazon chooses to buy your product at a wholesale discount. They warehouse it, they own it, they sell it. They price it themselves, according perhaps to your MSRP. Third party, 3P, is what most of us in this webinar would be considering or are already doing. It's selling directly to Amazon shoppers, whether you fulfill it out of your own warehouse, which is fulfillment by merchant, or FBM, or whether you're using Amazon's warehouses and having them perform the fulfillment services, FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. So the third-party platform has been an incredible engine of growth for Amazon. When they report retail sales, now more than half of those sales are transacted by people like you and me who are selling their own products on Amazon, and Amazon just, you consign them to them, or they merely get a commission. It's not necessarily a huge moneymaker for a lot of folks. I talked about the garage operator. There are a number of folks who have small businesses, side businesses. So about half of people who are selling on Amazon third party are only selling less than $100,000 worth of product. So this infographic says how much do sellers make. It's not profit, it's gross sales. So only about 2% are making more than $1 million or $10 million in sales. But I've been involved in a couple of multi-million-dollar programs, and it's certainly, you can achieve scale on 3P. Just wanted to give you a visual of how you can sort of, as a shopper, experience who's 1P, who's 3P, who's FBA. This is a product of Burton, and Burton is a 1P seller. So Amazon buys their product at a wholesale price and then sells it. And so Burton is represented as the brand there on this product listing page, but it's sold by and shipped by Amazon. Here's an example, a Nike product that is a 3P seller. So the brand, again, Nike, is presented there, and Nike curates this product page to some degree, but the third-party seller there is displayed under the buy box, and they are fulfilled by Amazon. So they've shipped their product to Amazon. Amazon is taking care of all of the pick, pack, and ship. This product page is also an example of what it's like when you are competing for the buy box with other sellers. So there are 18 other sellers of this pair of Nike tights, and the seller in this case.
Somehow you muted yourself. There you go.
Oh, how long ago did I unmute?
Just like a second ago, not that long. Just when you turn the page, basically.
Good, we won't have to redo that. So here's an example of a merchant in the specialty foods category that is FBM. So they haven't shipped their product off to Amazon to be fulfilled. So they are a third-party seller, and they are fulfilled by merchant. It says ships from and sold by Bastacci, which is a specialty foods retailer in Boston. So in those different approaches in the different third-party approaches to selling online on Amazon, how do the fees break down? This is an example. I've just estimated what an FBA fee would be. It's highly variable depending on whether you're selling something small and light or big and bulky. So at Gardner Supply Company, we did not send rain barrels to be sold by FBA because it was just prohibitively expensive. But take a hypothetical $100 selling price, the Amazon referral fee for most categories is going to be 15%, $15. An FBA fee might, be 12%-ish, depending on the dimensions of the product. Advertising, we'll talk about that some more, but I'm generally allocating advertising across the whole program, even though some sales occur organically without any advertising. Another thing to say about commission is that it's not 15% for every category, and in fact, a lot of the folks in the room today, grocery and gourmet food items under $15 is a lower commission, just in recognition that probably very little profit margin for those kind of items, unless the commission were lower, so it's 8%. So I think what I'm trying to illustrate for you here is that selling on Amazon with all of the fees considered can still be productive of a healthy contribution margin or healthy contribution dollars. May not be as efficient as some of your other channels. It's not as efficient as emailing your existing customers and driving them to your own website. But as part of your marketing mix and compared with the cost of acquiring new customers, I think you'll probably find this to be a really attractive proposition. I can pause now and take some questions, and Alex can keep me honest on timing before we jump into some things that are time specific around COVID-19. So do we have any questions?
There's no questions in the chat box, but if anyone has a question and would like to unmute themselves, go ahead.
Tom, I have a question.
Yeah.
How about Amazon Fresh in Boston area?
Yeah, so most of the grocery related opportunities, Amazon Fresh or Whole Foods, are a 1P style relationship. So you have to essentially get invited or open up some communication with, request participation in those programs. So the third party program is pretty much, if you're selling especially food that you just want people to buy on Amazon, you can jump right in and do it yourself. But a lot of those, to be part of Whole Foods is more of a 1P relationship, by invitation only, or you can request it, but it's not a 3P relationship.
Hi, does anybody do both 1P and 3P, or do you end up cannibalizing yourself, or do they not allow you as a seller to participate in the wholesale side of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll go out on a limb and say that many 1P sellers wish they had the control of being able to do that and be 3P, but Amazon is also pretty protective of those 1P relationships and wants to maintain them. So bigger brands often do find themselves in a challenge, seldom are able to negotiate a permission to do 1P and 3P. When I was at Keurig, we had a thriving 1P business, but we saw opportunity to grow it. 1P has some challenges where it's Amazon getting to choose whether, what of your SKUs they're going to take. And when I was at Keurig, we were able to have a third-party program that kind of filled in the holes of the 1P program. So if there were products or pack sizes or counts that the 1P program wasn't accepting, we were able to do that as 3P. But that tends to have to require a lot of blood, sweat, and tears of negotiation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Anyone else?
Ingrid did ask a question in the chat. Can you please show the same chart you just showed when it is FBM?
This chart. Okay, so when it is FBM, so the FBA fee that I show as $12 is something that can be calculated based on the dimensions of a product and its weight. And you'll have some products that you couldn't cost effectively ship to Amazon and have them warehouse for you. It's really heavy, it's bulky. You won't make any money. So you choose to send it FBM. You would simply, there'd be no Amazon FBA fee. You'd have to calculate your own outbound shipping to the customer. So I show on this chart a $3 freight to Amazon. That's sort of envisioning, oh, I stacked up a pallet of stuff and sent it on a common carrier to Amazon's warehouse. If you're doing FBM, it's more like I am calculating my own labor to pick, pack, and ship a product and pay UPS or FedEx. Probably it's going to be kind of similar to that for most of us, but you'd have to do your own math on that. Okay, so things specific to this moment in time, and it's been rapidly changing. Amazon was a huge beneficiary in the rush to online shopping when many brick and mortar stores, including farm stands and other of you guys who are operating retail, had to close. So we've seen this crazy kind of curve where folks were stockpiling items that they urgently needed. That face masks chart is indicative of people bought in a big surge, and then their need for it fell right back down to very little. Also, in other categories like grocery, which is germane to all of or to many of us in the room, huge bump and a fallback from a sort of stockpiling experience, but also a overall trend that is inclining. So there's a lot of evidence that folks have adopted online grocery shopping and are at least open to the idea that it's going to be a permanent lifestyle change for them, that they're going to be more open to buying food products online. A lot of static, though, in this experience. Essentials versus non-essentials was something that Amazon went through and many sellers suffered for in the past 3 months, call it 2 months, where items identified as non-essential were not accepted by Amazon into their warehouses. If they were already in their warehouses, there were long delays for getting them shipped out, even though Prime members are used to having their products in 2 days. Many things that were deemed non-essential took 2 weeks to arrive. Still happening. So we have seen a ton of interest in home and hearth categories. I just came from Gardner Supply Company professionally, and they're having a banner spring. I know a tool company that is having a terrific spring. Fitness company, outdoor sport. So people are reacting to the quarantines with lifestyle changes that have been very beneficial to a lot of merchants. Big question here is, how should we behave as sellers at this time? And also, will these habits, are they just aberration, or will some of them stay with us? So not necessarily too relevant to your selling presence on Amazon, but in general, even if your category is thumpingly successful right now, you've got to be very empathetic and don't be tone deaf in your marketing. A recent Edelman research survey found that 37% of people have started using a new brand based on how that company responded to COVID-19. So consumers want to hear you messaging that you are taking steps to protect your staff and your customers, and also that you have empathy for a lot of the joblessness and disruptions that people are going through, and of course their health fears. So 71% of respondents said that if they perceive a brand as putting profit above people during this time, that brand will lose their trust forever. So the surge to e-commerce benefited a ton of familiar brands here. Amazon didn't increase the most in terms of percentage because it's so large, but in sheer volume, 200 million new visits in the month of March. Online grocery, it's a trend that has been rather long in coming, but suddenly has leapt to the forefront. So 40% of respondents said, yeah, I anticipate buying groceries online in the next 6 months. So, more than a doubling of what that response looked like a couple of years ago. So another example of just that channel online compared to conventional and other places to buy grocery. App downloads for various online grocers like Fresh Direct, Instacart, Target, and Walmart. Walmart's really the behemoth in online grocery right now. Totally spiked in the month of March. 55% of people have now tried online grocery shopping, and of those, a stunning 90% say they actually anticipate continuing to do so. So that is a huge increase in the rate of expectation of continuing to shop online, and on a much bigger number since it just doubled. Some lifestyle trends in grocery. Some of it applicable to your Amazon presence, some of it just generally. An online grocery cart used to skew to canned and boxed products, but now there's much more fresh and organic in a online grocery purchase than when compared to in-store purchases. Online food baskets are bigger, about twice the size of an average order value. And Walmart is really trending in its click and collect experience, where you shop online and then you go to your local store to collect a ready order, or you receive grocery delivery if that's available in your metro. Couple other trends observed by Instacart, the online grocery, an 800 to 900% increase during the COVID-19 period. They had a business plan that expected 20% adoption of their service in the next 5 years, and they reached it in just a matter of weeks. There are, let's acknowledge, challenges for food sellers still on Amazon. There are all of the normal labeling requirements that food providers have to observe. Very importantly, there are temperature controlled challenges if you're trying to ship online or ship orders that you've received online. Most likely you're going to have difficulty using FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, because those warehouses are not climate controlled. And also, if your product has a sell-by date, if it's perishable, or even if it's just dated, they're not great at practicing first in, first out inventory management. They may do it in a particular warehouse location, but for all of your product that you ship to them and they disperse across all their many warehouses, you'll inevitably have products that are post-dated and have to be destroyed. So as I mentioned earlier, the COVID-19 urgency to ship essential products, food products are considered essentially generally, but whatever you're selling, there was a great deal of disruption, and non-essential items in Amazon's sole definition were suspended from inbound Fulfillment by Amazon shipments. Even if it were in the warehouse, it was delayed. That has started to improve. So in late March, Google or Amazon was also changing its promotional behaviors. So stopped advertising on Google for a lot of items. It stopped letting merchants have deals and promotions on the website. And that has gradually become sort of rolled back to normal. As of May 12, apparently, the FBA warehouses are open to all items, and you'll see deals and recommendations back on the site. And pause here and take any questions.
We do have one question in the chat box from Andrea. Any concern that the Hazel Township warehouse will close due to COVID?
Oh, it's a really good question, because that's an important one to sellers in our area. It's often the one that Amazon's system will recommend, will mandate that you send your stuff to. There is a lot of concerns. I don't really have any inside information about whether it's likely that facility will close due to COVID concerns. My expectation is no, but I really don't know. We can do, and I should mention that the other folks at Lean Edge Marketing, like Gwen McShay, often hears inside news from some of our sellers, what they're experiencing. So, maybe reach out to me via email at tom@leanedgemarketing.com, and we'll see what we know about that particular warehouse. But so far, I think it's going to stay open. I kind of want to knock wood here as I do it.
Gwen did say in the chat that they see less inbound shipments there lately.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a little bit of a gray area there, but yeah, that definitely is an impact. Any other questions? Okay, let's get into some selling tips. The chief question that we hear is, how do I sell more on Amazon? And our not fully facetious answer is sell more on Amazon. So the key indicator of whether your product is going to be selected to be put in front of a lot of customers in response to a search is how well does it sell when it is in a search result. So this flywheel, famously sketched by Jeff Bezos on a napkin on some offsite meeting early in Amazon's history, but it's basically a vision of Amazon as a place that, as it grows in customer satisfaction and attracts more sellers and more customers come, the company is able to enjoy economies of scale and is able to produce more values for the customer. It's also the same sort of virtuous cycle that is at work in the A9 search algorithm for Amazon, where products that sell well are rewarded by being given just high prominence in search results. And as we'll discuss a little bit later, it's much more of a zero-sum game than in traditional online commerce, where you might have an ability to spread your winners across more SKUs. Earlier we talked a little bit about the example of the Nike tights that are available from multiple sellers who are competing for the buy box. You've heard that expression, winning the buy box. Most of what I want to talk about today, and I think it's mostly relevant to the people in this webinar, is if your product is not widely available from other sellers, you're not really trying to win the buy box. You're creating a listing of your product, like this example of Fistacci's nut tin, that nobody else sells, and your job is simply to get that product's listing page to be the one that comes up when somebody searches for gift nut tin. So there are a lot of factors. Here's 14. I've seen lists of 21. There's a variety of factors that go into determining whether Amazon wants to surface your product for a particular search. And the three overall criteria are: conversion, does the thing sell? Relevance, is it relevant for the particular search of the consumer? And then satisfaction. Does this product enjoy high ratings and reviews? And does this seller have a history of satisfying customers, having, shipping out quickly, having low error rate, low return rate? So we can talk a little bit about all of these things that go into causing your product to rank well on Amazon. The image there on the right in the K-Cup category, I have a couple of icons there that are indicative of Amazon providing indication to the customer that something is a bestseller or Amazon's choice. Those are also, as a seller, good feedback for you when your products are beginning to make a mark and establish themselves as items that are strong sellers and that are worthy of good search visibility. Bestseller in this example would be a category bestseller in the category that I'm shopping, where Amazon's choice, they're never, particularly explicit about what makes a product Amazon's choice. It's Amazon's decision unilaterally, but it's usually related to a particular search term, that this is the most relevant and clicked upon and strong selling product in response to the search K-Cups. Happens to be their product. So sales rank is an Amazon ranking. It's a number that goes from low, being very good, to high, number is very poor. And that sales rank is available to you as an Amazon seller in almost all of your inventory reports, so you can see how your products are doing. These other messages or signals about how appealing your product is to consumers, how often do people buy it when they visit the product page? Do you have a lot of reviews? Are they positive? Do customers give you, as a seller, positive feedback, or do they complain about your practices? Is the price competitive? That's true not just when you're competing for the buy box, but also when you're competing with other search results on a given page. And then some of these attributes are things on your listing. How am I naming my product? Are my images appealing? And do they show a variety of different angles and close-ups? Are the features described in appealing bullets in the description? And then fulfillment attributes. Is the product coming in and out of stock? Do I screw up the orders when I ship them if I'm doing fulfillment by merchant? We'll get into particular product questions now, but I can pause and answer any questions related to the search algorithm.
There is one question in the chat from Ingrid. Where do we find our search and sales rankings in Amazon's reports?
For a particular search term, you have to rely on some third-party tools generally. For your search rank, for your sales rank, you can find it on almost any inventory view of a product. So, in any, also say the sales report for a given product will show its sales rank and the trend. So you'll see a climb or sink. And it's good to know at any given point of time. And also Amazon's really good at knowing seasonality of products. So, they know when to start surfacing your product that is, a good spring product as opposed to a fall product if they've had it in your assortment for a while. Any other questions? Okay, so products. I want to talk about two things. One, just product development and sourcing, and then product optimization again. So the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle, we're probably mostly familiar with as business people. That might be that, the top 20 difficult customers cause 80% of your customer service problems, or your best 20% of products generate 80% of your sales. in my experience, that sort of disproportion is even more pronounced on Amazon, where I am often seeing more like a 90-10 rule, where you know, our products that do well do extremely well, and can enjoy a growth tangent that is just really, really dramatic, which I tend to embrace the notion that, hey, Amazon is anointing various winners, and there are ways to go with it. Also to sort of inspire it or try and prime the pump, as we'll talk about with advertising. So generally speaking, when we talk about products, we want to launch strong with a great product listing and advertising support, and not just throw something up on Amazon and think, oh, over time we're going to get better at promoting this item. You really want it to look great, sound great, be ready to fulfill it with excellence, and be able to support it with advertising from the moment that you launch. Also, inventory planning is important with products on Amazon, just because of the volatility. There's just so many customers. If you do have a product that starts to take off, you potentially could have difficulty keeping it in stock. This is my rainbows and unicorns slide. What makes an ideal Amazon product? I wish that I could have such a product, but really it should be a proprietary item that you can put in the brand registry at Amazon. It's not offered by other sellers. It's in a high demand category. It is healthy in its gross margin, both in a percent and just raw dollar terms. It's sturdy. Amazon's not going to break it, or it's not going to expire in Amazon's warehouse. It's cost effective to ship and store because it's compact, and you have an agile supply chain with it, so that you can quickly respond to peaks in sales. And for good measure, let's say that it's difficult for manufacturers in low-cost countries like China to counterfeit or knock off. So a lot of things we'd like to see in a product. Hard to find all of those things in a product. We will find that our existing assortments will have plenty of appeal for Amazon buyers, and that we may end up getting some guidance there, where we might want to have a good, better, best strategy, where our website sells the better and best, and we have a lower price version that we sell on Amazon. So being strategic about your merchandising in that channel specifically. There are some great tools, software tools, like Jungle Scout or Helium 10 that Gwen and I and the others at LeanEdge use, just to look at competitive products that are already out there on Amazon and observe what their sales seasonality is, what their monthly revenue is, how many units they're selling. So it's pretty important to do your research and get a sense of what products like yours are able to do on the platform. Also gives you guidance about price points and things like that. Again, on product listing page, the particular product page that you have is competing with a bunch of similar products, and some of these on-page attributes are what determines either whether your product is going to rank well in search, or once it's found, whether you're going to do a good job of converting people to buyers. So you're going to want to have a relevant title. This title is the name of the product, and I give an example that is really heinously ugly here. Rock Brothers Bike Pannier Waterproof 27-liter large capacity bike bag rear rack bicycle pannier bag, waterproof for grocery, touring, cycling. So ridiculously long. It's not necessarily best practice. If you've got a good product that is selling well, it doesn't have to have a big, long, keyword stuffed title tag or name. But you'll see products like this, and this particular product does well. It ranks not just for bike touring panniers, but bicycle panniers and bike grocery bags, because those words are in its title. So I think this is a moving target, and you hopefully will see less sort of spammy titles, but for now it is something that still works on Amazon. And but really the chief way to get your product selling on Amazon is get it selling on Amazon. And so we'll talk a little bit too about advertising. Another bit of advice here is A+ content and enhanced brand content. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but Amazon is increasingly giving sellers an ability to distinguish their product with more than just mere text descriptions, but other assets that really help it make the selling case. And finally, variations and multi-packs and assortments are ways to support your best-selling products on Amazon by making them available in different sizes or partnered with other ancillary products, because you should go with your winners as best as possible. So perhaps add larger sizes and so forth. Really important, though, that when you've got a product that you be ready to support it with some amount of advertising. We'll talk about that a little bit later, kind of the ways in which it's unique on Amazon. Here's an example of enhanced brand content. This is from Verilux, our Vermont healthy lighting company. And the advantages, if you're a company who has registered its brand on Amazon, you're the proprietary seller of a product, you have additional abilities to create content that really is rich and appealing and helps convert customers. So you also have an ability to build a brand store, which is a website-like experience where it doesn't tend to be a primary journey for consumers. It's still mostly consumer search and buy through search, but it's an interesting way to sort of support your brand and let people know, for one thing, when they buy from you, yeah, they're buying from Amazon, but you also want them to understand and feel affinity to your brand when they buy it on Amazon. A lot of times people don't really know who makes the product that they bought on Amazon, but in my experience, you will see a rebuy rate. You may have a rebuy rate for your product on your website that is significantly higher, maybe twice as high as some of my experience, maybe 20% rebuy rate on my website, a 10% rebuy rate of my products on Amazon. So it's lower, but it's still not anything to sneeze at. Take a pause from that product and product optimization section, and then we'll start talking about operations.
There are no questions in the chat box. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself or pop it in the chat.
Okay. All right, so we'll carry on. So operations, I'm going to talk about inventory management, fulfillment, customer service, and it's really interesting. I'm principally a marketer, but success on Amazon isn't just about marketing. It's probably not even mostly about marketing or merchandising. It's largely about operations. So inventory planning and logistics is part of it. The platform is growing at 20% a year. So many people who have Amazon programs now are growing at that rate or even better. And also within that growth rate is that disproportion of hit products. When a hit product takes off in your assortment, it can sell multiples of what you were doing last year. So it won't be a 20% increase, it'll be 100% or more. And so you got to plan for that, prepare for that when you start to see it coming, and you got to develop an inventory planning process that identifies that the dynamics on Amazon are different than the rest of your business. Also, how you'll bring your products from wherever you produce them to Amazon's warehouses, if you use FBA, is really important to what your profitability will be. There are a lot of fees and a lot of costs to get your products to Amazon, and there's a certain amount of spoilage where they'll tell you that some of your products were returned damaged by customers. So an important operational expertise is to do that cost effectively. And it's why, as you start building an Amazon program or growing one, you've got to have a super cross-functional team, one that is working together every day and every week. And it's not just a marketer's mission to sell more on Amazon, it's the whole company's effort. So we talked a little bit about FBA versus FBM at the beginning. This is just a business case. Why would you want to be selling your stuff by Fulfillment by Amazon? And the main reason is the Prime badge. Your products will be badged with free Prime shipping 2 days to Prime members. And that has the impact of just totally improving your search rank, your click-through rate of your search result, and then conversion of your product. So Amazon did a case study that said, hey, when an item gets newly badged Prime, it increases 50% or more in sales. I've found that it's a lot more than that. So more like 3x or 10x for a product. There are some products that just simply cannot get any visibility if they're not FBA. Interestingly, FBA could be cheaper than your existing warehouse pick, pack, and ship. Also, you may have a warehouse only in Vermont, and therefore you don't have the kind of service levels that you can cost effectively ship to the West Coast and get anything there in a timely manner. So FBA has some advantages there. FBM is still best for large items, bulky items, perishable, many perishable items, and also items that just have a real slow pace of sales, because if you've got something sitting in Amazon's warehouse, they'll charge you for storage if it's been there for a while. Seller fulfilled Prime is something that you may use or have heard about. It's when a seller integrates their shipping software with Amazon's and is able to ship it out to Amazon customers within that sort of Prime service level promise of free 2-day shipping. This is something, it's a program that is currently on hold to new merchants. So it's not something that you can do right now if you aren't already doing. So perfect order percentage is a factor in how well your products are going to rank and how you as a merchant are going to be ranked. And the perfect order percentage, or POP, is comprised of how many folks are claiming a refund because of Amazon's A to Z guarantee, satisfaction guarantee, how many buyer-initiated messages, questions, or complaints are coming via email to you, how many times you have to cancel an order that you took on Amazon but then realize that you didn't actually have the inventory, chargebacks, customer chooses to object to their charge with their credit card company, late shipments if you're shipping by Fulfillment by Merchant, negative feedback, and refund requests. So all of these things require a highly customer-centric set of policies and a culture of seeing the customer as always right, and a super aggressive resourcing of customer service around the flow of questions and concerns. Also, there are some activities that your consumer care team needs to do on product pages where people might be posing questions. They aren't customer complaints yet, but they're questions that your consumer care team has an opportunity to answer publicly. and help all consumers make buying decisions. So highly, highly important in your Amazon program to monitor on a daily basis, hourly basis, the feedback that you're receiving. And there are tools to do this in a more automated fashion. You also need to work really hard to get reviews if you've got a brand new product out there. Products grow 3.5x in sales after they've received a review. So people don't tend to want to be the first to try a product that isn't reviewed. They trust shoppers like themselves to rate whether a product is going to work for them. So you really should, when you're trying to sell at scale on Amazon, have an automated tool to handle feedback, also to ask your buyers to rate and review you on Amazon. Answer consumer questions. We talked about that. Be diligent about resolving customer issues. If you're shipping out an FBM package from your warehouse to an Amazon customer, include a postcard or some other insert, just encouraging them to review your product on Amazon. And there's a couple of programs too that as a merchant you can try and bring early attention to a new product by using Amazon's early reviewer program, really highly affordable program where you can incentivize consumers. Amazon will give them a gift card if they review you. These have to be actual buyers, but it's a highly affordable program, $60 per product and for up to 5 reviews. And even just 1 review makes a difference. Also, if you've got maybe a higher priced item and you've got a bit of a budget to spend, you could enroll your products in the Vine Trusted Reviewer program. These are really prolific and trusted reviewers on Amazon who will write a review for your product. You have to submit free samples to those reviewers. That program was recently put on hold during the COVID-19 response, but we expect that to open up again. So that's my section on operations. Are there any logistics and ops and customer care questions?
There are a few questions.
Okay.
Okay. So Ingrid asked, does the POP percentage also show up in Amazon Analytics?
It does, yes. There's a dashboard of many of the components that go into the perfect order percentage, as well as the perfect order percentage.
Okay, and then Mira asks, if you receive negative feedback from a buyer, but it is related to FBA service, such as delay in shipment, how does that get evaluated and or removed as a factor for your POP or your selling performance?
You can initiate a case as a seller about just generally about reviews that you consider to be fraudulent for one thing or just wrong. Actually, I might even cue Gwen to chime in on that one, because there are some processes that you can go through to actually have a review change, but I'm not as up on it as you probably are, Gwen. I don't know if I can get Gwen to contribute. But yeah, I mean, it's basically driven by the case system in Seller Central. Yep.
So you mentioned you can put a postcard in an FBM package. Can you do it in an FBA if it's a pre-packed thing that they're going to just ship?
If it is something that has its own internal box, you can have some product literature or instructions, assembly instructions, things like that. you can have you could have an insert in that. The thing you agree to is to not engage in any marketing. So it's not kosher to invite somebody to come to your website to review your product, or to have your catalog inserted into your inner box. I won't say I haven't ever seen that, but yeah, you're not supposed to do any marketing. But you can't have Amazon pick, pack, and ship inserts along with your product. It would have to be inside whatever you send them as a carton. And there are rules about how your product needs to be sent to them, whether it's in a box or polybagged or something.
Okay, so Gwen did pop in a couple suggestions. She said,
Yep.
If it is FBA, they may claim it if you dispute it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are FBM, you are stuck with it generally. If it is product feedback, you are usually stuck with it.
Yep. Any other questions?
There's a couple more questions in the chat. Dan asks, does an undeliverable shipping address refund impact one's POP?
Yeah, I don't know at such a granular level. If it's undeliverable, Gwen, you might have to give me a response on that one as well. But generally speaking, I think if it's undeliverable and it's, I think that wouldn't impact you.
Okay, and then the final question was from Aaron. Does the existence of a brand store for a brand increase their ranking within Amazon?
Say that again?
Does the existence of a brand store for a brand increase their ranking within Amazon?
I don't think it has that search impact. I think that I've seen some innovative use of brand stores for folks that might do off Amazon marketing. So if you wanted to email your own customers to tell them that you had a new product on Amazon, some of the store URLs are easier to promote in a printed piece, and in an email you can go directly to the product on Amazon, or you could go to your store and there are some additional tracking capabilities if you drive traffic to your store from a campaign perspective. So I think that there are ways that stores can help your off Amazon promotion, which would also in turn just help you sell the product, which would help your search results be better.
Okay, and then Gwen did respond to the undeliverable shipping. Yep. She said, not 100% sure, but probably not sure they can differentiate.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, your Amazon program can be really big and healthy, and some of these anomalous things that can happen, like undeliverables, would be a small percentage of your business. So it wouldn't be a deal killer. If you've got a product that people love on Amazon, it's gonna get airplay, and it's gonna get conversion. And I don't think, generally speaking, Amazon is trying to find stuff that sells. They're not trying to penalize people and hide products without real due cause. It happens all the time that they take actions that we feel are punitive or unfair. But by and large, if your product is selling, you're gonna do fine. And that's maybe a good place to start talking about advertising and promotion. So Amazon is a place where the advertising proposition is different than what we're used to as online advertisers, mostly on Google, cost per click or product listing ads. Amazon, on the one hand, shouldn't feel like an environment where you should have to advertise at all. You're already paying Amazon a 15% commission. Why should you pay them to advertise your own product on their platform? It's a pretty sweet deal for Amazon, but it's actually a pretty useful and profitable tool for sellers as well. And that's because not only can you manage the program to get a good return on ad spend for your ad dollars, but generally, we'll talk about the particular return on ad spend that we're seeing. It's also a really important tool just to give visibility to a new product and give it that chance to prove that it can sell, that customers, when they search for that thing, do want to buy it from you. That's the signal that Amazon needs to start surfacing that product for searches for free, the sort of organic traffic. So unlike Google, Amazon paid search just primes the pump for your product's lasting organic or free search rank on the platform. So we try to be really strategic about investing advertising when a product is new or when it's coming into its busy season, to really signal to Amazon, hey, this thing is a strong seller in its category for these searches. Here's a graphic that just indicates on a given page, a search for Vermont maple syrup, which are the ad placements. So that top sponsored brand ad from Run Amok Maple is a sponsored brand ad, features 3 of their products and a headline. It was formerly called the headline search ad, and you trigger that based on keywords that you want to go after, or you can trigger it on a particular category that you want to be present in. And then that product to the left is a sponsored product. It looks like just all the other products on the page, except that it says sponsored. And to the right are organic results, free listings that just showed up by virtue of their strong sales history and relevance to the search term. Also on Amazon, you're able to do product targeting where you can actually advertise on a competing product's product page. So this can be a really powerful tool. This is an example of Ann Clark Cookie Cutters down in Rutland advertising on the product page of a dog bone cookie cutter made by a competitive manufacturer. It's actually sold by and shipped by Amazon, but Ann Clark is getting this nice real estate of a similar product right before somebody makes a buying decision for a rival product. So in advertising on Amazon, it's a lot like what Bud Reed told us about last week on advertising on Google. You've got to know a lot about your keywords, both the high volume 1-word or 2-word head keywords and the long tail, highly specific keywords that maybe are low volume but are high converters, like metal dog bone cookie cutters would be a long tail keyword, and cookie cutters is a head keyword. On Amazon, just as we do on Google, it pays to advertise on our own brand terms. You'll find that if you don't do it, somebody else will, and the cost is generally low, and it will drive incremental sales. Even if you rank number 1 for your own brand name, having more real estate on the page will drive you. It won't cannibalize your organic listing. It'll actually increase your overall sales. Also, Amazon promotions can be a good way to draw attention to a product and goose its sales for the benefit of its free organic search ranking. So coupons and price discounts or lightning deals, deals of the day are all things that in Seller Central you can invest in, and you should have a plan for how much money you want to invest in those ways to drive more attention to your product. It's probably an area where you'll want to get some professional help from an agency, just because it's easy to lose money in this platform, just like it is in any online advertising software or account. And it would sour you on something that otherwise could be a really powerful tool for you. Here's something about the metrics of how advertising generally can work on Amazon. The ad cost of sales can vary greatly depending on what kind of product category you're in, or whether your brand name has high recognition or not. It can be very little, 3% of the retail sale, or maybe a quarter or something like that. There are categories where it's hard to get a sale unless you're spending 30% of cost or 40% of cost. So it can be a challenge, but generally in this range, you can be profitable. And again, you're not just considering the impact on your advertising-driven sales and the profitability of those advertising-driven sales. You're also considering, am I helping a product gain lasting free search visibility by juicing it with some advertising early on in its life cycle? Generally, we advise not to cap your spending on advertising with a fixed budget. If you can do performance-based budgeting, where you focus on the profitability of the product and adjust to spend as much as you profitably can for that product. Generally speaking, we will see the advertising portfolio across clients' products to drive maybe a quarter to 50% of the total sales that they enjoy on Amazon. It can be higher, it can be lower, but this is probably a sweet spot for knowing that you're doing enough to drive sales, but also that your products are carrying their own weight and driving their own organic sales. So this is my final slide, summing up what we've got. Maybe I'll take questions just on the advertising first.
There are no questions in the chat, but if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, here's one. Stephen asks, can you give an example of Amazon advertising, what it looks like?
Yeah, so those couple of examples are advertising. So the headline search, so those 3 products across the top are advertised products. They look just like, I mean, they are normal products. They're just given that placement and that headline. And you can do a little bit of A/B testing to see which headline has a stronger impact for you. And then that sponsored product there is an Amazon ad. Here on this page is some product targeting going on a rival's product page. So what's in the red box there? There are some other display advertising options on Amazon as well. They're more designed for big brands who want to encourage sales of their products regardless of who sells them. So they're not the types that we normally use or see. So most of what we use would be driven by search. Any other questions?
Before we wrap up, I just popped the survey into the chat box. So if you could please, everyone take the time to fill out this survey. It really helps us make note of what is important for future funding. And I'll include that in our follow-up email tomorrow too, but if you have time, please review this session.
Great. So yeah, just summing up my main points, really, in our view, the path for success mainly starts with having proprietary products. Prefer to see that than trying to compete for the buy box with another multitude of sellers of the same thing. Develop top quality product content on your product listing page. Use Fulfillment by Amazon to discriminate yourself from FBM. So get that Prime badge and be able to to multiply your sales that way. Ensure that you've got an advertising budget to really give that product a chance to shine on Amazon by starting it off with advertising support, and then just do an excellent job of delighting your customers and keeping them happy and interacting with them. So that's all my material. I hope it was helpful. I'm certainly open to answering questions that that didn't occur to you but occur later. There's my email and my cell. And I believe there's one other slide for you, Alex.
Yes, I just wanted to quickly share. Thank you, Tom. That was wonderful. I hope everyone enjoyed it. For those of you who don't know, VSFA works closely with our sister association, Vermont Retail and Grocers. If you're interested in joining either of our organizations, please reach out to me directly. Or visit our websites to learn more. There's a lot of great benefits and opportunities to connect with like-minded businesses. And I hope you all found this valuable. Please fill out the survey, and there's a lot of thank yous coming in to the chat box, which is great. And I will follow up with the slides, the survey link, and Tom's information for you.
Great. Well, and Alex, thank you, and Lauren, thank you. Thanks to the Vermont Specialty Food Association and the Vermont Department of Agriculture. Great program, and make sure all of you also attend Katie White's webinar next week. It's going to be awesome. She's terrific. And,
Yes.
Everybody stay safe and healthy as we observe our quarantine.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody.